Chief X, the God Best reincarnated with some more common sense science, and I'm doing some exposing of bullshit today. So I need you to bear with me. First, I'm going to say, do not comment on this video if you did not watch the video in its entirety, because it's going to get deep, especially towards the end. I'm going to show y'all what I've been talking about, and we're going to analyze this psychobabble that has the conscious community miseducated and in la-la land. Let's go.
The stage, but
well, I'm actually married.
This guy is named Duke of Tears, a fraudulent intellectual, habitual liar, and charlatan. Just listen to this made up. Well, I'll get to that story in a minute, but just listen to the garbage that's miseducating our people in the audience.
To a master yogi who invented her own yoga system. Sorry, I'm married to a sister who is a master yogi, and I watched her journey from when she first started doing it, because it actually happened out of a need of necessity. She had a congenital knee affliction because she was born on a military base called Camp Lejeune, and it was...
She has a congenital knee problem because she was born on a military base called Camp Lejeune. Just listen.
Found that everybody except her that was born there died based upon the radioactive stuff that they put into the water.
Come on now. Everybody that was born on this military base died except his wife. Now we went from a bad knee to everybody else dying. Are you guys catching the psychobabble? She lived and she had a bad knee, and she had a bad knee because of what? I mean, just listen. He gets no specifics. These are charlatans. Listen.
Because all military installations, whether we understand it or not, and when I say military installations, I'm not just talking about I'm talking about schools, I'm talking about colleges, I'm talking about everything. Hospitals, all of that. All of that is under military jurisdiction. So
it's a fucking military base, idiot.
She, in order for her to walk, basically engaged it as a means to actually heal herself. And because the knee is a manifestation of the, like, different body parts have different associations. So the knees tend to be connected to the subconscious.
Oh my God. Are you serious? The knee is connected to the subconscious. And he's telling this to an audience of so-called conscious woke folk. They're asleep. They're not woke.
And so within that, and watching her over the years actually build it up to the point where she developed her own system, I watched it.
Oh, and by the way, everyone born on this military base died because of some radioactive stuff that, quote, they put in the water. I thought he was talking about a military base. The military killed its own military members? Come on, man. Logic will tell you this is a bullshit.
Deal with all of the stuff that you're talking about in terms of the political aspect of whether it's hot yoga, Bikram yoga, chicken nugget yoga. I'm serious. There's chicken nugget yoga. If you don't think I'm playing, like, look it up. Yeah, look it up. This is, these people take everything and make it into something else. So
let me move on, because this is to some more drama. Just listen.
Et tu spiritu santi, right? So that aspect of it.
Oh, by the way, he acts like and proclaims that he speaks Latin.
Has nothing to do with what Bikram or heated yoga or Hatha yoga or Ashtanga yoga or whatever type of yoga it is. The true yogi is one who realizes that he or she herself is the actual conduit for the breath itself. So your body is doing the yoga, but what is happening is your body is putting yourself in a position to breathe out and to expand what the breath is, because you're using muscles and certain things that nobody else uses. So to take that away from you and to make you think that it's a strictly Hindu practice or whatever, they've created a mass market.
Yoga is Hindu. I know a lot of people are into it. I'm not knocking yoga, but it is of the Hindu tradition and faith. It's not African, but hey. And he knows it. That's why he mentioned it's not, because he's been checked on that. So he's trying to get it out of the Hindu faith to save face. Stay with me, family, because wait till I get to Phil Valentine. He's the main culprit I want to get to.
All right, so good evening. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all coming out. Amazing. So I've had this question on my mind for a number of years already.
Now, just listen to the wording in the question. It's about to get into some psychobabble and metaphysical talk that he don't understand. So he's going to ask a panel member, and Brother Penix is going to answer. And like he's asking God a question, like God has the answer, and that they're God. Just listen.
Dealing with our physical reality being, correct me if I'm wrong, projections or manifestations of the darker side of the subconscious mind, and all of these realities are existing at once. How can that be true for a child who may be going through abuse, or children who are victims of wars across the planet? I'm just having difficulty connecting the dot between, a child is not, it can't be on the child's subconscious mind that they want to exist in a miserable reality.
Child was also a grown-up before. We need to stop thinking we own children. They came here to have that experience. Me and my sister was here had a rough.
Here come Brother Panic with the Baphomet on his shirt, and look, the magician's hat, little top hat, pull a rabbit out the hat, abracadabra, let me trick you and bullshit you. This kind of nigga. And he got the answer to that question. He knows. And trip thing about it, the audience will believe him. Oh, okay. No proof, no nothing, just rhetoric.
Rough one, but it's our choice. It figures out the equation that has me sitting here today. So it's choices. This world is not real. You just heard a whole lecture about this is a simulation, the illusion, the matrix, the experience.
The world's not real, you not real, this is a simulation, the matrix, this psychobabble. And basically he goes on to say that we chose our parents. We chose the womb we went into. And it was with our choice. But let me get off Brother Panic and move on, because I don't even want to deal with that old bullshit. Oh my God. We chose the womb we went in. Bear with me.
Before they got
here, they said they picked their parents. You think you just somebody can? I thought you were God. So your parents just said you're like, fuck it, here I am again.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm born to her womb. You chose that womb. And you chose the dysfunction too.
Look at him standing there like, oh, okay, yeah, oh man. Look at this whole audience of so-called conscious community come to see this garbage talk.
To understand we in control at all times. We have to change our perspective to the perspective of now. Remember you need to move in and just be his life coach.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Very good. Remember, there are also actually...
So, Phil Valentine. See, the clique of these metaphysics, the liars, they all know each other. The bullshitters, they click together. Hey, we good at bullshit. Let's bullshit these people. They all vibe and shit. You know what I mean? They liars love liars. Birds of a feather flock together. So Phil edged him on. Yeah, that was good information. Mm-hmm.
Genetic consciousness streams, and there are genetic consciousness streams within the envelope of this consciousness reality. There are consciousness streams that we follow based upon our intentions. All things are based upon divine intention. So what are your intentions for the next life? You are in school right now. So are you going to be gone or graduate, or are you going to be a super senior? It's up to you. Peace to all three of the panel, and peace to all who came.
Now, see, Phil Valentine is a flat earther, whether y'all know it or not. He's teaching people that the earth is flat. This cat is about to bring up this question about paperwork and sovereignty and filing paperwork and status correction. Phil does all that bullshit, teaches it. All them scams, they're charlatans.
Came to attend. Forgive me if I'm nervous, but I'm glad to be in your presence. I'm a secured party creditor, declaring my appellation name with the UCC and a non-UC filing, living, collapsing, and controlling the trust. Our brothers are in these Albion dark magic courts, and your last question kind of segues into what I'm doing now, which is trying to crush the courts and the dark magic with the Magi's and all these
Crush the courts with dark magic and the Magi's. Don't misuse the word Magi.
Administrative venues. Has any one of you have made an effort to integrate the metaphysics of Phil Valentine with what you're doing to Assad in crushing him with paperwork as also coaching and navigating
These motherfuckers ain't crushing shit with no goddamn paperwork.
through these systems and controlling our vessel because we're forced and compelled for the birth certificate theft of the SSK Trust.
See all this birth certificate, your commodity, you're worth something, your birth certificate, you're worth some money. This psychobabble. I'm sick of this shit. And Phil Valentine is one of the head of all this bullshit.
And the Mortmain Act, as well as the various collapsing of the federal debt and HR 192. I can go on and on.
Conspiracy, debt, collapse. For 30 years, all this money, conspiracy is about the money,
Is there any type of manifestation or integration of the metaphysics so we can have, Noble Drew Ali, his declaration of the 10-1059 in Cook County, and integrate it in the paperwork so we can get all our brothers and sisters out of these crooked, false, magic administration stuff.
So instead of Phil correcting him, he's going to aid him on and help him spread the bullshit about paperwork and courts and maritime law and natural law and all this sick shit.
If I may, really quickly. Overstand and understand that the UCC was actually put in because that was an alternative to natural law. Mm-hmm. It was placed there in order to do business. We became...
Natural law is like talking about morality. There's really no such thing as natural law, but if you want to use that phrase, but this is just mind fuck games he's playing on the audience and the people. Because y'all don't know no better.
Commodities. Human beings.
Commodities, human beings, birth certificate, you're worth money.
Became commodities. So we had to act as functionaries within that system. Trump just signed a bill that's going to bring us back onto the gold standard. Right. Y'all hate him, but that fool is doing what he's supposed to be doing.
So he's the one that gets talking about the president ain't shit, nobody run nothing, it's all the Illuminati and all this old shit, and he gets to talking to the Jesuits, but now he's talking about Trump is doing what he's supposed to be. Come on.
Nobody can deal with $163 trillion debt anymore. So the bankers had to make a deal.
Matter of fact, by the way, this is a white man teaching the black community. This is a European. Let's not get that twisted. Is you blind? You don't know what a European man look like? All up in our house? Lying?
They went with the cryptocurrencies, and we're going back on the gold standard because of BRICS. So, what I'll say to you is the UCC 1 and the UCC non-UCC are going to be obsolete soon. And you're going to go back to natural law. That means the autochthonous indigenous now will rule the land. But it's a matter of us now.
We're going to go back to natural law, and the economists and the indigenous will rule the land. Who's the indigenous that's going to rule the land? and fuck everything. Fuck city law, state law, the county. The indigenous is gonna rule the land. When, Phil? When? You throw this shit out there and just, have people biting at it, and it's garbage talk.
I'm becoming.
And got the woke community clapping. A panel of liars.
We have to grow our maturity. We have been stultified. We went through a series of 400 years of arrested development.
And natural law has nothing to do with indigenous people, by the way. It has nothing to do with indigenous or people or a group. No one is in charge of no natural law. What is he talking about?
And during that time, our true status and identity as the indigenous blood people of this land here.
See? That Aboriginal shit, that Moorish shit, that, that indigenous to the land. This is psychobabble and lies.
Were taken from us and assigned to this denizen. So, as my distinguished panel of guests know, you essentially are going to have to stand on your square and pronounce that, getting rid of all of your entitlements. But even though you use them, maintain your status as a diplomat, only walking upon the land. Never do business on the ocean with them.
Never do business on the ocean, only do business on the land. That's that maritime law, that Moorish talk. Look who his people is, who come to see him, who believe that. Look what's on his head. Are you guys clueless? You don't know what kind of crowd and kind of cranks these are?
Never. Always come back on the land and make sure that before you even think about going to court, you file that paperwork stating that I don't do business in that court. And if you're forced in that court, force them to remove that banner, that flag that gives them the authority. It is us to learn.
He's talking about filing paperwork in court, y'all. That bullshit. This white man who knows how to grow a cool beard and put some swag and sound, hip, slick, and cool. And pass in your eyes, not mine.
But we don't have the schools. We don't control our children's minds. These are the schools that they need to be attending. And
he's saying our children need to be attending their kind of schools of thought. Dumb us down some more. Believe me, I'm the way. These niggas is cult leaders.
We are actually establishing a foundation for you to take your children out of school and teach them how to become H-U-E, man beings.
Human is not a word. It's a made-up word. He said you take your children out of school and listen to us. Listen to us liars. Give us your kids to miseducate them. Y'all not listening. And the audience is okay, yeah, let's start. So with the audience, psychologically, the audience, yeah, we need to. They went home the next day and watched Phil Valentine videos, Brother Panic punk ass videos, Duke of Tears line ass videos.
I would just add on to that.
Wait a minute, this gonna take the cake. Watch this. Fictitious story he just sits there and makes up off the top of his head.
Saying that paper come from trees.
Oh shit. You're gonna teach us that paper come from trees.
So in the end, we're really talking about an integration of something natural turned into a flat surface, right?
He's talking about making paper, something natural, a tree, made into paper on a flat surface, and then people write on it. This is psych games.
In which now people are trying to diametrically put themselves onto it. But that's what they did to you. Quick story. I was getting beat up in court. I maybe told it before, long time ago, taken to court for things or whatever. And I was in the process of that for maybe 5 years. By the first 2 years, I was getting beat up. By the third year, I realized...
You was going back in court to 5 years, nigga? You should be broke. You had to be rich for that type of shit. You fight in court like that? What was you in court for? Why you can tell us just now? See what I'm saying?
Realized that this whole thing is not evil. And I was in the process...
Listen.
Quick story. I was getting beat up in court. I maybe told it before, long time ago, taken to court for things or whatever.
Taken to court for things or whatever. You can't tell us, because if you tell us, we're going to know it's some bullshit. All you can do is make up a fictitious stories and keep people in the blind and sound good.
And I was in the process of that for maybe 5 years. By the first 2 years, I was getting beat up. By the third year, I realized that this whole thing is not even real. Like, as real as it was, what made it real was my intention in it. And my intention in it was to stop them from attacking me and taking what I felt was mine. But once I realized that they could not take anything from me that I...
Audience full of folk considered conscious. Just stuck. A zombie of cults. Cult members.
I did not give them, then it became a different flow. And so I started to understand that the paperwork is really just a vehicle that really had nothing to even do with what's on the paper. I started to do get like the Seal of Solomon, because I realized that a lot of people that's processing this paperwork is Ashkenazim Jews.
Oh, Lord.
So if that's the case, then they're part of the B'nai B'rith, and then from there they're part of the other so-called orders that they deal with. And when I realized that, I said, well, there's binding sigils that our ancestors created that I could use as watermarks on my paperwork. I'm going to start using that. Then I started saying, well, you know what? If that's the case and that worked, then why don't I start doing other things and really going in there in my proper self? So I started at the time, if y'all remember.
What's your proper self, nigga?
Remember, I used to wear a lot of feathers in my hair when I was growing it out. So one day I went with all black raven feathers, right?
He put some raven feathers in his head and then went to court.
And I had on a whole, like, you know when the mobsters wear the black trench coat over they right? So
so if you wear raven feathers to court, you'll have a good day in court.
In there with that, with the medals and all of that. I went in there, put a little obelisk on the desk, gave him my paperwork, and every time the judge spoke, I spinned it. What started to happen was he started stuttering, he started drooling, the computer started to malfunction, right? And then the next time I went to court, the court was packed just like this, but it was just for me. So
he went to court packed just like this, and all these people were there for him. Because of what? What was your court case about? And they just sitting there laughing, believing the goddamn dumbass story.
So then I started to realize, they're sending the boys in. So let's really take it up. Because now I want to see what I can do. Because now I realize that the magic is really me. That these people is trying to take something from me. That
the magic is him. They trying to take something from him. He got the power. This is a sight game.
They could never control. So it got to the point, to make a long story shorter, it got to the point that I created what was called a letter rogatory, based on a right of Alexander.
Now, when you get time, look that up and see if you find it. See, niggas hear shit, but don't fact check it.
This is where moral science comes in, because true moral science...
More science. He's a Moor, a liar, teach misinformation.
...is the study of self. And what Noble Drew Ali basically brought, he was the first one
cult
talking us that we was already here. And in the process of realizing that
Abo indigenous shit, we was already here and all this old stuff, we not Africans. They taking you out of your African mind, is what I'm saying.
I started to actualize the actual paperwork and started to reduce all the statutory language. and just started to speak in what they call the King's English, which is the language that our ancestors spoke here. So when they would ask me questions...
See, he said the King's English. He fucked up. Then he says he spoke Latin, and he spoke a Latin phrase. He's making up a story.
But one time the judge asked me a question, and I just responded to him in Latin. I said, "Qui comalio contrahit vel es vel ebe debit non ignoros contradictos ellos," which means he who enters into a contract either has to be aware or ought not be aware of the origin of the contract.
Ask somebody who speak Latin, is that what that means, what he just said? This nigga do not speak Latin. Which Latin do you speak? Portuguese, Spanish, French, Italian? Which one? Like polite, I speak 7 languages and nobody asked you, and nobody ever heard me speak fucking Spanish. One time. Ever.
Once I did that, brothers and sisters, and gave them the paperwork and hit them with that little regulatory that basically let them know, I know the jig is up, I'm the judge, I'm the magi, and I expect you to release this bond to me by the next joint. I'm going to put a whole lien on the building.
He gonna put a lien on the goddamn court building. I mean, you guys have to be out of your African mind, I'm telling you.
When I went to the court the next time, they chained the door. They called my name, went to the door, the door was changed.
They chained the door. They didn't get a deputy or nothing. They chained the door because of him. Shut all court cases down for this idiot.
To sneak into the court behind.
He snuck behind. Now, do you guys actually think you can go into court and come behind where the fucking judge chambers is?
I got into the court. The judge wasn't even on the bench. He didn't even show up. They sent a little old white lady, little clerk lady out in the back.
Yeah, I used to work at a children's court, Elementary court. I've worked at courthouses. You cannot go behind no door. Behind there is the judge's chambers and staff. He don't know what the fucking, ain't never been in a really courtroom like that.
That's what I wanted to do. I said, well, this is dismissed. Pointed down on the brain. I said, it's dismissed. And because he didn't show up and do what he's supposed to do, I'm going to follow through with the action. Followed through with the action. 3 months after that, went back down to the court. The court building closed. Right here, 284 Adams Street. Look it up. I went in there.
Now, he said, look that up. Of course you can look an address up and see it's a courthouse. You telling me that you closed the courthouse down for a day? And hundreds, thousands of employees just went home because of you? See, y'all don't think that much into the story, but that's what he's saying.
And the court building closed and said they had to close it for rats. And then they moved it across the street to the...
A court gonna close because of him. And the excuse he said they gave him, they closed it because of rats. Like they wouldn't wait till after hours and get some rat control people up in there, some pest control. They closed it during the day for rats because of him. See, I can't stand fuck shit like this.
To the new fabricated building they built up in the process of all of this happening. So I still hold the lien on that. You understand what I'm saying?
He holds a lien right now on the courthouse. Did you hear him?
So I'm trying to say I did this in the process of all of this happening. So I still hold the lien on that. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying to say I did this with no UCC, with no statutory language, with no preconceived notion other than what I manifested out of myself to do so.
And he ain't got not one friend, not one nigga on trial, not one innocent person out of jail or help somebody beat a case. But he can shut courthouses down, make courthouses close the door. He can close his own cases. Look at Phil Valentine. He's with all this bullshit. This white man, Phil Valentine, is with this bullshit. He's co-signing it. You guys are out of your African mind.
And from that point, that's when I realized the way out is the way in. Muhammad Ali said, I'm going to leave this European around long enough to show you how to run a government.
And so that's what we did. And we've been working to establish that since for a while, and it's been working. And the more we're doing ourselves, the more it's the total opposite. So I appreciate what you're saying, brother, but like our illustrious doctor told us, eventually none of that stuff gonna matter. How are you able to articulate all of what you said without saying it like that? That's the question. So, here you go.
See?
Welcome to another episode of Underground Railroad Radio.
Yeah, Underground Railroad. That's a red and blue pill in them cats. That Moore stuff. This deceitful stuff. This is the reason why we ain't nowhere in a conscious community. Now, if the conscious community was into some real science and some real history teachings and not got niggas all up in la-la land, they make a network. This is why people say I'm going back to goddamn church. Conscious community crazy as hell. That shit was a nutcase show. I just want to get to something real quick.
And peace to all who came to attend. Forgive.
Let me just get to something real quick. You know what? This is a long video. This is part 1. I'll be back.